Hello, everybody, and welcome in. I'm Griffin.
And I'm John.
And we have a very full episode for you today, including Rad Power Bikes has finally sold at auction to a surprise bidder.
Can't wait to find out who that is.
Also, we're going to talk about New Hampshire, the latest state to introduce a bill for registering bikes and e-bikes.
Another one.
Yep, another one. And finally, we're actually going to sit down to interview a special guest from Upway, who is an exciting new partner for us.
All that and more on this week's episode of the Weekly Recharge.
Today's episode is sponsored by Upway, a brand that makes a ton of sense for our listeners. Are you looking for an e-bike without breaking the bank? Here's my go-to tip. Check out upway.co. They carry top e-bike brands like Specialized, Cannondale, and Aventon, all up to 60% off retail. Yes, seriously. You can get an Aventon city bike that normally sells for $1,700 for just $900 through Upway. It's fully certified, comes with a warranty, and would be a total game changer for anyone. Not only can Upway get you an affordable premium ride, because every bike is given a second life, it's the most sustainable choice for the planet too. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is a used e-bike a gamble? Not with Upway. Their master mechanics perform a rigorous 50-point inspection on every single bike. Plus, every purchase comes with a 1-year warranty. With Upway, reliability meets affordability. Ready to trade up? Head over to upway.co to browse thousands of certified models. That's upway.co. Ride better for less. All right, kicking off the news this week is the big one with Rad Power Bikes selling at auction for $13.2 million. The sale comes about 1 month after Rad filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection back in December 2025. Yep. And at the same time, they listed roughly $32.1 million in assets, along with $72.8 million in liabilities. Now, there was an auction on January 22nd with 5 bidders participating. Life Electric Vehicle Holdings, or Life EV, was the winning bid, with the backup bid in place of $13 million as listed by fellow e-bike brand Retrospec. Now, the deal is subject to bankruptcy court approval and should close between February 13th to 27th. Now, assets of the sale are to include remaining inventory from Rad, their IP, accounts receivable, company equipment like computer software, certain contracts and leases, and assumed warranty claims and liabilities tied to those assets. Now, this marks the second acquisition by Life EV. They also acquired Harley-Davidson's e-bike spinoff, Serial 1, back in 2023. Curiously, Life EV's own website shows only out-of-sale models at the moment, so no details have come from Life EV as of this recording as to its plans for Rad's products either. This is kind of a life lesson in just how quickly life can come at you.
Life EV can
come at you. Well, in this case for Rad, just 5 years ago, they were actually valued at $1.65 billion after having raised over $329 million in funding. And now they've sold for $13.2 million. So again, life can kind of come at you fast. Now, as we've stated all along, we really want to see Rad survive in some form. They are there's nearly 750,000 riders of Rad vehicles out on the road. So obviously it's a huge legacy brand, and we hope to see that legacy continue in better shape than it has been over the last few years. So again, we're going to be watching with a lot of anticipation where they kind of go from here. If they unsure if it's going to like integrate somehow with Life EV, if it's going to be run separately and independently, it's all guesswork at this point.
Based on what I read, that seems to be also at least partially in the hands of the courts at this moment, whether or not they're going to be able to continue operating as they are. So we will keep you posted as we know more, as we have continued to do about this story. But moving on to the next story. So we talked last week about the state of New Jersey requiring some new license, insurance, and registration for e-bikes. So now New Hampshire has a bill that is calling for registration of all bikes, plus a $50 fee for road, path, or trail use. So Representative Thomas Walsh of New Hampshire submitted a House Bill 1703 that would require annual registration for not only e-bikes, but all bicycles using all public roads, paths, and trails, with that $50 fee per year. The proposal would also include a $100 fine for failing to register and using the public infrastructure without that registration. So sponsors of the bill say that the fee is intended to help fund transportation infrastructure, similar to registration for snowmobiles or off-highway vehicles. Local officials, though, and some cycling advocates warn that the plan could be difficult to enforce, especially in college towns where bikes are frequently exchanged, and it could end up costing more to administer this program than the program actually raises with those fees and fines. Yeah. The critics argue that the proposal could discourage biking and actually work against public health and environmental goals by making even low impact human powered transport more expensive. As always, with any legal stuff that we talk about on the show, if you have feelings on the bill and you live in New Hampshire, you can always write into your representatives or call them and let you know how you feel about it. Generally, we just feel that this could discourage healthier active transport and prevent more riders from getting out on bikes.
Yeah, obviously there's just a lot of complications with this. I saw one person kind of put it really well, which is like, think of how often like a bike exchanges hands like on a college campus or something like that, which is you re-register that every time. It's going to be a mess to try to keep all of that straight. And if we're being super honest, if you're buying a bike used off like marketplace or something like that, you're probably not even like aware that you need to go register and things like that. Again, it's potentially going to get very messy very quick. This just kind of seems like a little more of a cash grab. There's got to be other ways to raise funding if it's needed than this particular route. I just don't see this as super practical, easy to enforce. And at the end of the day, if it discourages this mode of transportation for people who might not be able to afford a car or some other means, it just seems like a losing situation for New Hampshire.
Can't disagree with any of that. Yeah, I'm kind of curious how this would affect like bike share programs too. I don't know if that would increase prices just since they'll have to cover those fees.
I think one of the articles I read touched a little bit on that. They'd work something out maybe at the state level with them and in partnerships. But again, it's just I forget the exact number, but I know there's like more bikes in the homes of people like in America than there are like people in America, right? Like on average or something like that. So it's an entire state that's looking to make not just e-bikes here, but all bikes, something that you have to like register. Again, that's asking a lot. It's going to get messy really quick. So we'll see, it's a bill as of right now. Bills can change. They can be morphed into other things. They can be shot down. So, if, again, like John mentioned, if you are living in New Hampshire and not a fan of this bill, by all means, call your local representation and let them know how you feel about it.
Absolutely.
Moving on, though, and the next one is from Velotric, actually. They have teased the launch of the new Discover 3 and all new Discover M. John, I think that means our embargo is ever so slightly lifted if they're talking about it.
We've actually had these two bikes in for a little while.
That's right. They are a couple of them that we mentioned before that we'd received. We can tease a little bit more about them. We won't stray from what they have available on their product page, but if you go to the website, Velotric's website, you can see some of those details. It's a little bit scarce right now, but basically there's now two new Discover bikes. So the Discover 3 shares the look of the predecessor and some of the specs, like the 750 watt motor, which now peaks at 1100 watts and 75 newton meters torque. This one is a little bit quieter than previous generations though. Mm-hmm. But there is also a new 80 millimeter air fork on it and included suspension seat posts, so really softening up that ride, leaning more into the Velotric shtick of make the ride as comfortable and pleasant to ride as humanly possible. But all new is the new Discover M, and this bike is the first mid-drive motor that we have seen from Velotric. It is a 500 watt power with 960 watt peak and 130 newton meters of max torque, pulling along a 9-speed Shimano Q's drivetrain. It also includes an auto mode and a thumb throttle with a quoted 95 miles of range. This is going to be a big step forward for the brand. The Discover has been their crown jewel for a while now, and now it comes in two new versions, so it's going to be very exciting to see how people respond to this one.
Definitely anticipate a lot of interest as we got with the Discover 2. So yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to keep up on those details when those reviews go live.
It's like they're teasing it for now. They do say it'll be dropping a little bit more on February 10th. So like John said, make sure you're subscribed.
Mm-hmm. Next story, though, is about two major mountain biking regions that are actually allowing e-bikes to use the trails there. So we've got Bend, Oregon's Deschutes National Forest and the Lake Tahoe Basin. They have both finalized plans to open a combined 273 miles of single track trails to Class 1 e-bikes. And so then if you're not familiar with those, Class 1s go 20 miles per hour with pedal assist only. In Bend, Oregon, we've got 161.4 miles of trails across 5 networks that include Phil's Trail Complex and Peterson Ridge that will allow pedal assist EMTBs starting on April 1st of this year, though e-bike use there is seasonally restricted to protect wildlife habitat during the winter. The Deschutes National Forest reclassified those trails from non-motorized to motorized for Class 1 e-bikes only, but other motorized vehicles remain banned, so definitely keep that in mind. But in the other area around Lake Tahoe, there's around 112 miles there that will open to Class 1 e-bikes after a very long environmental review, and there's also some new trail construction and some reroutes included to allow that. But generally, these changes represent significant progress in expanding legal e-mountain bike access in two very iconic outdoor destinations, and just kind of reflect broader national shifts towards accommodating e-bikes on more trail systems, which, I mean, obviously we deal with e-bikes, we encourage that, but it's good to see, the wider world kind of accepting and embracing them.
Yeah, I think back to last year, maybe a year and a half ago, when the National Park Service came out and said that all of their surveys found that there was no increased damage to trails because of e-bike use, assuming they're proper Class 1 mountain bike style rides. And kind of glad, they left it up to different national parks to decide for themselves if they want to allow it or not. And we just love to see this growing trend of just more trail access, because again, people want to explore these parks, and it's nice to know they can do it now and not have to be, trying to worry about any rules prohibiting it.
Absolutely.
Then last but not least, Strava has deleted 2.3 million e-bike activities in an effort to clean up the leaderboard. So Strava has removed these because the ride segment leaderboards are, of course, part of a major data cleanup to improve the accuracy, because there's been a lot of instances where people have been choosing the wrong rides, or maybe forgetting to turn it off and riding around in a car and suddenly claiming a king of the mountain somewhere.
I may have done that.
I've been guilty on more than one occasion, and I try to remember to delete it when I'm done. So anyways, again, they're trying to clean up some of these vehicle trips and whatnot. And in addition to e-bike deletions, 1.6 million vehicle activities were also purged from the leaderboards. As a result, roughly 293,000 athletes have had spots in the top 10 of ride segments restored after removing questionable entries that were blocking them. This follows a previous cleanup in 2025 when Strava actually moved 4.45 million activities using an auto flagging tool to catch non-bike activity on leaderboards. And Strava says that the work is ongoing with a continued effort to improve the integrity of its activity and leaderboard data. So if you are a fan of Strava, which we obviously use here a lot for some of our testing and recording, hey, good news. If someone was,
stole the king of the mountain.
Someone stole the king of the mountain from you. I mean, you maybe flagged their activity or something like that anyway, but hey, good news. Check the leaderboards again. You might be restored back to the podium where you belong. So cool stuff.
Absolutely. A couple other announcements before we keep things moving. Number one, as we talked about in a couple previous episodes, we have t-shirts now. So if you want one of these cool shirts, head to our website, electricbikereport.com. There's a link up in the top right to the web store where you can purchase this one, or that's our
alternate version as well.
Yeah.
This is the Charge Riders Club.
Quite a few other models out there.
All right, for our weekly peek behind the curtain, we did receive a new bike. That one is under embargo. I can just tease a little bit that it is a lightweight mountain bike sporting one of the new motors out on the market. So very excited to test that one out. As a matter of fact, Thomas, our shop mechanic, was all sorts of giddy once he got it put together and tested it out, and was practically salivating over the thing. So he's probably going to ask to keep it when we're done, and we'll have to fight for it. But that's the little tease for now. Stay tuned if you're a mountain bike fan and like lightweight ones, because that'll be coming up in the coming weeks. But we did have a few things go live though, John, including my accessory review of the LightLock X series. So if you are in the market for something to securely lock up your bike, LightLock has anti-angle grinder locks. The X1 is the lighter weight one. The X3 is a little bit more heavy duty. Either of them, though, will chew through multiple disc grinder attacks. They are just really well thought out. I like the protective layer around them and things like that. Again, if you are in the market for it, e-bikes are expensive. A lock at a couple $100 is really, at the end of the day, not nearly as bad as trying to replace a stolen e-bike. And this is going to make it very hard for thieves to crack into. So check out that review. In the meantime, though, John, you had one of your reviews go live.
That is true. Actually, we had the battle of the folding.
The lightweight folders. That's right.
So, the one that I reviewed was called the Dahan K-Feather, and that is one of the lightest e-bikes that we have tested. It really takes this sort of stripped down minimalistic approach, making it super portable, super easy to carry around, and also still, a nice, easy way to get from point A to B, or at least, help you along the way. So stay tuned for that one.
And for many people, Dahan's not a household name, but they are actually one of the biggest bike sellers in the world, just a lot bigger in China, and they're kind of trying things out here. So it is pretty fun and unique. So check out John's review. Did a good job with that one. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I had the Urtopia Carbon Fold ST go live. So again, battle of lightweight folders. This one is, of course, carbon fiber, as all of Urtopia's bikes are. Just really nice, pleasant ride. We've been really impressed with all the Urtopia bikes that we've been getting in lately. They are just nice, pleasant little cruisers, kind of more mid-power these days or anything like that. But again, if you live in a largely flat environment or something like that, and you want something easy to carry around, it's another good one worth taking a look at. Okay, now it's time for our weekly trail system highlight, but this week we actually had a user comment suggestions. We're going to actually take a look at that one. So this came to us from RMKEP from an episode a couple of weeks ago. Said, you guys do a good job keeping up with the very fluid e-bike world. Thank you. My almost daily ride is on the American River Bike Trail, or the Jedediah Smith Memorial Trail, running from downtown Sacramento to Folsom, home of the prison Johnny Cash made famous. There is even a Johnny Cash segment of the trail that runs from Old Town Folsom to the prison gates. There is a museum that documents one of California's most historic prisons. The trail it's 31 plus miles long and is one of the best and most scenic urban trails in the country. I enjoy this trail with my wife, friends, and family. We vacation regularly in the Mendocino, California, and just 10 miles north is the town of Fort Bragg. It has a beautiful but short 10-mile ride along the ocean with beautiful vista of the rugged Northern California coast. The ride is simply amazing and never gets old. That sounded fantastic to us, so John did a little bit of a deep dive into that one.
That is true. And again, thank you very much for letting us know about that. We're always happy to highlight trails and cool places around the world where you guys have been that you want us to share with the rest of the world. So in this case, the American River Parkway, sure enough, it is a 32-mile trail that begins in Discovery Park in the heart of Old Town Sacramento, and it ends at Beals or Bells Point at the Folsom Lake State Recreation Area. Not sure on the pronunciation there, but it's a paved path that's about 10 feet wide. It's split into 2 lanes, and it runs alongside the American River. It is also designated both a state and national wild and scenic river. The trail is mostly flat with around a 5% or less grade across its length, and it weaves through parks and protected green space. As it goes, there are quite a few areas that it goes through. We've got William B. Pond, Riverbend Park, Hagen Community Park, the Sunrise Recreation Area, and others. There's about half of the trail that is shaded with trees, and the other half has a lot of wildflower fields, so nice scenic views. And then it caters to hikers, runners, cyclists, skaters, and is used for leisure exercise and commuting. So a little bit of a history here. The idea for the American River Parkway was proposed by city planner John Nolan way back in 1915. And it took a long time to actually construct, but there was a group called the River Beautification Commission that was formed in 1949 to develop plans for recreational areas along the river. There was a bond approved in 1972 for $12.6 million, and about 80% of that went towards funding the project, used to buy and develop land along the river. And then the trail itself was actually recognized as a national trail in 1974, and then a #1 bike path in 2006. And just a little bit of an older resource here, but as of 2009, there were 82 miles of trails in total in this sort of green space area, including the bike trail that we're talking about specifically, but there's other trails for equestrians and other uses.
I hope there's trails for pedestrians.
There are definitely trails for pedestrians, yes.
I wasn't going to let it slide, John.
No, I wouldn't do the same for you. So features of the trail, there's obviously riparian areas. You have views of rivers. There's lakes along the way. There's tons of wooded areas, nice rolling hills, shrubland, and some really cool bridges. There's a
lot of really cool bridges in here that I'm going through, yeah.
Yeah, one that was built in the early 1900s called the Fair Oaks Bridge, so very historic. The Harold Ritchie Memorial Bridge, and then there's a really cool suspension bridge that runs over to the California State University in Sacramento branch, and that is the Guy West Bridge. The trail also offers access to swimming and fishing areas. There's picnic spots along the way. There's camping at Folsom Lake, and there's also access to shopping and dining along the way. So plenty of stuff to take advantage of. But it also connects to loads of other paths. So this is just sort of a huge network that allows people to really just get all around in the Sacramento area. There's the Sacramento North Bikeway, the Sunrise Bikeway, the Western State Pioneer Express Recreation Trail, the Lake Natoma Trail, and Folsom Parkway Rail Trail. So yeah, just huge network here, very utilitarian trail. Class 1 and 2 e-bikes are allowed here, although it is worth pointing out that there is a 15 mile per hour speed limit, so you can't open those up fully. But, it makes sense with kind of how busy the area is.
The popular places sometimes slow down just a touch. Yeah.
Definitely. But, California is a beautiful state. If you've not been there, this, definitely shows off some of that. If you ever find yourself in the Sacramento area, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this trail as well. And as always, if there's anything in your local area or places that you've been that you'd like us to talk about, you can drop us comments down below or email us at
questions at electricbikereport.com.
See, it's hard.
Yeah, sometimes it is. All right, so Max, welcome into the Weekly Recharge. Really excited to have you here on the show. For some listeners who might not know you or might not know much about Upway, mind introducing yourself, telling us just a little bit, the 5,000-foot view of Upway, as it were.
Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you, Griffin. I'm Max. As you can hear, I'm not from the US. I'm actually from Belgium. And I'm the general manager for the US for Upway. Upway, what we do is quite easy. We are a reseller of secondhand e-bikes online. So you apply, let's say, Carvana's or CarMax's business model to e-bikes, and you pretty much find Upway. We launched that business back at the end of 2021 in Europe. Now we had 8 countries in Europe, plus the US. In the US, it's been 3 years, a bit more than 3 years actually. And we have one refurbishment center in New York, one in LA. And from these 2 locations, we ship bikes everywhere in the country.
Wow, awesome. Cool, thank you. So let's just kind of start again with a little bit more of a general question then. So like, why launch the company? Why launch Upway in the first place?
Yeah, well, first, when we launched Upway, we were thinking about, we want to launch a company in a consumer business. We want to have a physical product. We also wanted to have let's say, a positive impact for ourselves, for our kids, for future generations. And we wanted to, let's say, surf on a growing trend with a ton of, like, let's say, macroeconomics trends that we're going in a direction of the future business we were going to launch. And so looking at e-bikes made total sense for us. One, for the mission, for the sustainability, reducing of emission. We also truly believe into giving back space to just citizens of the world in general. And of course, it was already a growing market, a growing industry overall back in 2021 when we decided to launch Upway. And a ton of macro trends going in the direction of your business, meaning that your business was going to keep on growing in the future years, not only thanks to you, but also thanks to macro events and macro trends. Like pushing it even more forward. Upway. So when we looked at the e-bike business, we're like, okay, so if it's supposed to replace the car industry at some point, it's very normal that it should, like, a second-hand market should develop itself, right? When you think about car sales in the US. For one new car sale, you have 4 second-hand car sale, right? So it should happen also for e-bikes. So that's why we decided to launch that business. And second, when we thought about, okay, like, what are the alternatives to buying a brand new e-bike? It's Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, or, like, these secondary or, like, to say this second-hand C2C marketplaces. The only thing that you miss there is the selection and the trust. While if you want to buy a new e-bike, what you have, it's probably you have the selection, but what you have also, it's a high price. So finding an in-between made total sense for us. And that's why we came up with the idea of launching Upway. If back in 2021, already in Germany, you had, I think, around 2 million new e-bikes being sold every year, 1 million in France, 1 million in the US, around 800,000 in the Netherlands. So it's already, like, pretty huge businesses that are going to keep on growing as I would say, cities are pushing for more lightweight electric mobility in general, as I would say, oil resources are going to go down and down, and as also I would say future generations that are way more sustainability conscious are going to also get into like mobility as a whole, and will need to do like even longer trips than they are doing right now.
Well, that's awesome. So, I mean, great kind of like view of Upway as a whole, that secondhand marketplace. And, I'm also just kind of curious. So with this, what is it you feel like the Craigslist or the Facebook marketplace of the world, what is it that they couldn't really do or provide people if you could find some bikes there? Like, what's a little bit of like the Upway difference? Yeah,
the Upway difference is very we're definitely in between buying your bike at a bike shop and buying your bike on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. We're kind of the best of both worlds. The best of buying your bike at a bike shop, it's you get probably a pretty good selection, but also you get a warranty, and you get probably a maintenance plan, and you know that you can go back to that bike shop if you have any issue. On the contrary, though, you have a Facebook Marketplace. You have a decent selection. Meanwhile, you don't have the trust. You don't know what happened to that bike, and if something breaks, you don't know if you're going to be able to find back the person who sold that bike to you. Meanwhile, the main advantage compared to a bike shop is that the prices are way lower. So Upway is trying to find the best of both worlds, meaning we are bringing the prices of a Facebook Marketplace or even lower. Meanwhile, you get a 1-year warranty, and if you have any issues within the first 12 months of ownership of your bike, we are going to cover you. And you can even extend that warranty for up to 3 years. So we have, let's say, the trust of a bike shop, but we have the prices, or even better than a Facebook Marketplace. Because our bikes, what happens is that we buy them, we bring them to one of our refurbishment centers. Mechanics work on your bike. A head of bike mechanic is going to quality check your bike, and up to the point that we're comfortable to put a 1-year warranty on that bike. So again, best of both worlds, covering the advantages of a bike shop and the advantages of Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes tons of sense to me because, like, for example, anytime I bought a car, I love to get the used car price. I don't want to be shopping new car prices and whatnot, but I can do basic maintenance and stuff on my car. I am not the type to open up the hood and diagnose like, oh, we're going to have this much time left on the belt or something like that. Like I have no idea. So I love that, that used marketplace at a dealership or something like that, a little bit cheaper, all those warranties, inspections, things like that. So yeah, it makes total sense that you're kind of filling that same void a little bit in the bike space. So that's fantastic. For Upway then, as a brand, like, do you have like an ideal customer, like someone that you're looking for, like pitching to, or is it, anyone, everyone out there?
It's anyone, everyone, and 80% of our customers are first-time e-bike owners. So it's really I think we're really fulfilling our core mission, which is giving access to a lightweight electric mobility to people who maybe didn't have access because they could not really afford like the price tag of a brand new bike. And we are even more like we're pushing the agenda even more. Well, first we have different payment methods. You can buy your bike using FSA, HSA money. You can, of course, use a buy now pay later option. You have plans, I think, 0% APR for 12 months or things like that. And we just launched actually this week our new offering called Upway Flex. Upway Flex, what we do, it's a subscription. So you can say, okay, that bike, I'm just going to use it for 6 months, or I'm not 100% sure I want that bike. We say, okay, you pay your bike on a monthly basis. We just ask for a minimum commitment of 3 months. You get a bike, an insurance, a maintenance plan, and a lock. You pay that on a monthly basis. I think it's asked from $79. You can try that bike, or if you want to use it only for 6 months for the season. And after that, you can either buy it, give it back to us, or upgrade. So our core persona right now is really the first-time e-bike owner, and we're very proud of that. Of course, we're trying also to bring already e-bike owners, and it especially happen in the, let's say, fun category, mountain bike, road bike. There, the percentage of first-time e-bike owner is definitely lower, but on the commuting front, we're close to 85% of let's say first-time e-bike owners.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's a huge chunk for sure. So for riders who maybe do struggle a little bit with trust for something that is a used product, what makes Upway a good option for them? Maybe you can explain a little bit more about like the nature of the used bikes.
Yes. First, I'm just going to try to debunk a bit one concept that sometimes people are struggling with. It's like an e-bike can go a long way, meaning it's not because your e-bike has 500 miles that is completely used and you should not trust it. But first, we work only with certified brands, or let's say lab certified batteries. So these batteries, for example, a Bosch battery can go up to, I think, 20,000 miles before losing 20% of its capacity. So it's a long way. Sometimes we have a customer saying, wow, that bike has 500 miles. Should I trust it? But these bikes are, especially the ones we put online and we purchase in general, are very good bikes and can, by default, last for a long time. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, like at Upway, we buy only lab certified battery bikes, or we buy, like, let's say, the classic OEMs brands that you see always, Specialized, Giant, Trek, Aventon on our website. We don't buy, I would say, questionable brands or questionable batteries. Second, at Upway, we have a team of mechanics who are going to check not only the mechanical component of your bike, but also the electrical components of your bike. If we see that the battery is, I would say, compromised in any way, we'll change it. And also you'll have a full inspection report for each of our bikes saying, okay, what has been repaired and what has been replaced. And on top of that, third, we have a 1-year warranty. And this 1-year warranty, you can even extend it up to 3 years for an additional price. But given per default, you have a 1-year warranty. And of course, if you live in the LA area or New York area, we can be your bike shop. So if you are in New York or in LA, you buy a bike from Upway, you have any issue, you can come to one of these two up centers, we call them, and then we'll fix your bike.
Oh, cool. So you're able to kind of establish like that bike shop relationship similar to how others do it. That's awesome.
Exactly. And to support our warranty, we work with bike shops, trusted bike shops. So if you have any problem, you call our support or you chat with our support and we'll tell you, okay, this is the best bike shop you can go to for your bike. We'll get a quote for the repair from the bike shop. We'll approve that quote. You get that repaired. We reimburse you, and that's it.
Awesome. So a few more questions, because I know like people, they have a lot of questions for us, like in our weekly podcast about like getting secondhand bikes, things like that. What's towards the top in terms of concerns that people have about buying a used e-bike, would you say?
I think first one, it's my bike has mileage. Am I going to be able to keep it for at least 1 year? And usually the question happens for a bike that has around 200 to 250 miles. What is crazy is that in Europe, we sell bikes. I think our average mileage should be around 2,000 miles or something like that. And people are just buying them because they know that they can go like a very long way with these bikes.
Yeah, 2,000 miles. That's a testament to it. It's good stuff. It lasted 2,000 miles.
Yeah. But like we have people, they own like very good Bosch bikes, and sometimes they send us pictures. Yeah, like I'm at 15,000, and they're still like going on trails with their bikes. So mileage is usually a concern, especially in the US, because it's slightly less mature market. While in Europe, it's a slightly more mature market. They know what a durable e-bike is. And second, they know up to which point they start losing a bit of like battery capacity. So in the US, usually mileage, but it should not be a concern that like these bikes, they can really go a long way. Second, it's what if I have a problem and you are an online marketplace? Where should I go? And for that, we just reassure them on the fact that we work with already a network of bike shop, not only for warranty and repairs, but also for like any, and we'll probably get back to that, but for like buying bikes or trading bikes at these bike shops. So we have already some sort of a commercial relationship with them. And they support our program, right? So go like finding a bike shop for you to support and let's say maintain your bike and tune up your bike. It's very easy for us. We have bike shops in every state with whom we are working. So that's the second one. And the third one, I don't see any. It's usually like a bit of what is the like how safe the battery is, especially in the Northeast and in the New York area. There were a couple of like let's say very damaging fires happening with let's say the main cause were e-bikes, but in all honesty, these were not e-bikes. They were like mechanical bikes transformed into e-bikes. with batteries that are like very, very questionable. So people sometimes, if they are not extremely informed or educated about what a good e-bike is, they might ask the question, okay, is it a safe battery or not? What we can say is that I think 99% of our bikes are lab certified or in a process to be. So we're never going to buy a questionable battery or a questionable e-bike. And if on a very good, let's say, a branded bike, the battery is questionable, like there is a dent or anything, we'll just change it. But yeah, like these three concerns. It's one, I have some mileage on my bike. Am I going to be able to keep it at least for a year? Second, if I have a problem, where should I go? And three is battery safety.
Oh, okay, awesome. And that's pretty cool. I didn't actually realize that you would just entirely like be swapping out the battery or something like that if there's anything questionable there, but that makes a ton of sense. Part of the reason I asked that question, I would say something similar, like battery concerns seem to be like the chief thing that we see amongst other people of, I think there's like some just fear that, it's not going to last very long and soon I'm going to be in 12 miles and have to recharge and something like that. So,
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And then I want to talk about, kind of circle back a little bit, talk about some of the criteria you have for the brands that you do work with. Like you mentioned, like you're not going to be working with a brand if they don't, use and promote safe batteries, certified batteries, or somewhere in the process. What's some of the other criteria for brands that you do work with? And what's, like an example of a brand you might reject working with if they're not up to snuff?
Yeah, there are, let's say, three things. It's one, battery. Of course, that's the main concern, and we the brands we're working with, they need to be they need to have batteries lab certified, so EN certified or UL certified. Usually in the US, we hear about UL certification. I think they're doing a good lobby push, in my honest opinion, because in Europe they have been relying on the EN certification, and it has been working pretty well. So need to be in the process of getting certified, or need to be or are certified. That's let's say the first one. Second, parts need to be available, because we need to be able to support our warranty. So it especially happens with like some very good brands that might leave the US. I think, for example, you have a Stromer, an amazing bike, but they decided to, I would say, divest in the US. We're still selling them in Europe. We still see them, we still have the possibility to buy some, but we are not going to do it because we cannot support the warranty of our riders if they buy a Stromer from us. Even if they are amazing bikes, we're not going to source them. And then the third one. Let's say it's just general knowledge of the industry. We know what a good bike is. We know what a good brand is. We know let's say the brands with a good network to support our warranty. So it's just general knowledge. And then maybe a fourth one is just sales, right? If we buy some and then they stay in our inventory, even at a very, very low price for a very long time, that's not good. We're in the end a second-hand, let's say, product reseller. The main risk that we have, it's one, of course, as any business with an inventory, is like inventory that is staying too long in your warehouses, and then you just have a general cost of inventory. But second, it's a second-hand product, so it loses value way faster than a new product, right? So you can lose residual value over time with just a bike sitting there in your warehouse. So we are very cautious about that, but I would say the three first criteria that I mentioned to you are the three main ones.
I was going to say, so in summary, if I'm understanding correctly, you're working with known commodities here in the US, you're working with safe ones and models that sound like they're going to be moving because you don't want to be hanging on to them forever, and people aren't interested in the model. Why would you be storing it for them? Okay, yeah, makes sense. And then just one last question, just kind of with the nature of the used e-bike. So I am kind of curious, since you are buying used e-bikes, fixing them up, and then getting them certified pre-owned, what are some of the most common things that you are like having to fix or having to repair or something like that when you do bring those in? Is there any like common things that you're seeing? If it's just 200, 250 miles or so in, or anything like that?
Usually what we repair, what we replace, cassette, 60% of the time, I think. Brake pads always, like 99% of the time, unless it's a brand new bike. Especially the bikes coming from San Francisco. Actually, these bikes, 100% of the time, you have to replace the brake pads.
People are going down the steep hills way too fast and just riding brakes, huh?
Yeah, exactly. The third one, discs in general, and then the fourth one is rotors. We usually don't have to replace motors or battery or anything electric. We just have to fix. But in terms of replacing, the one that I just mentioned to you, one clarification is we don't touch batteries. Like, we don't refurb batteries. This is a totally different business, very dangerous business. You need to be an expert. So if the battery has lost some potential, like I think as from 70% of potential, we replace that battery. So it's not only if the battery is like questionable or might be dangerous that we replace the battery, it's also under 70% of potential, we'll replace that battery. But we're never going to refurb the battery.
You're not trying to like pull out individual cells and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So cassettes, rotors, disc, and brake pads are the ones we replace very often. When it comes to battery, under 70% of capacity, we replace it.
Okay, makes sense. So which sounds great, because I mean, if you've got a good sturdy frame and the battery's in good health, if you're a potential customer of Upway, you're getting new brake pads, potentially drivetrains, things like that.
And you'll have an inspection report for every bike, and we'll tell you what has been replaced, what has been repaired, if we have changed, and also the number of cycles of charge on the battery, right? So you'll know, like, not only the battery capacity, you'll know the mileage of the bike, but also you'll know if that bike has been like charged very often or not.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, people definitely are curious with the charge cycles. And so, Max, one more question for you. How exactly are you checking the capacity in the charge cycles? How does that work?
But we have, let's say, the tools that are provided by all their, battery manufacturers. So we have it for Bosch, we have it for Bafang, we have it for Bros, we have it for Yamaha. So we have all the, diagnostic tools that only gives you, that not only gives you the information about the charge cycles, but also give you information about the bike in general, right? So this is also necessary for us to do a proper repair on the bike. We have these tools that are provided by battery manufacturers.
Okay, awesome. So I want to shift gears here just a little bit, pun kind of intention. Sorry. But not only can people buy on Upway, but you can also sell on Upway as well. Is that correct?
Yep.
You can. So maybe walk us through a little bit of that process for our viewers and our audience and how you would go about selling a bike on Upway.
Yeah, very easy. So there are two ways. The first way is you go on Upway's website, you click on Sell My Bike, you fill out a couple of info. So you give the brand of your bike, as well as the model of your bike, the mileage, the battery capacity, and your zip code. Zip code is important to understand how we are going to pick up your bike. I'll get back to that a bit later. And then, of course, you give us, the retail price of your bike. If you cannot find it, we'll suggest it. And based on that, we can actually give you a quote that if you like it, you accept. Once you have accepted the quote, based on your zip code, either we will be able to come and pick up the bike directly on your doorstep, unboxed. So we just don't have to do anything. That happens in local LA, in DC, in Boston, in local New York, San Diego, and San Francisco for now. We will probably, I would say, extend our unbox coverage in the future. But for now, in these cities, we can say, okay, you have accepted the quote. We just come and pick up your bike the next day or whenever you are ready. If you are not in these cities, what you can do is you buy a box for $25 that we ship to you. You just have to assemble that box, put your bike in that box, protect it because we give you also some protective materials, close that box, and then we schedule a FedEx for you, and then FedEx will come and pick up that bike on your doorstep too. Okay. Once we get these bikes in our refurbishment centers, we'll check in the bikes, we'll tell you if everything is in good order. If everything is in good order, that we have the keys, the chargers, that the mileage is in line with what you have announced to us, then we'll send you just a payment link. There's absolutely no need to give us your ACH information on the website. We'll just send you a link. And then based on that link, you'll define how you want to get paid. You're going to be paid either by Wire, ACH. I think we have PayPal, Zeller, and Venmo. So simple as that.
Yeah, just meeting people on whatever platform works best for them.
Exactly. And also a very important one, you don't need to share your bank information with us. It's just a secured payment link that is coming from Chase. And you don't need to share any sensitive information with us, which is
day and age with all the various scams going on out there.
Yeah, exactly. So
you guys
exactly.
Be like, cool.
Yeah. And the second one, you can also go to your favorite bike shop. If they are powered by Upway on trade-in, you can say, okay, I have my old bike right there. What price do you give me for that bike? They can run a quote, the same quote that we would give you if you were to sell that bike to us directly. We'll give you that quote at your favorite bike shop, and you can use that money as store credits to buy a new bike in your favorite bike shop. And us, we power the quoting, and also we come and pick up that bike at the bike shop.
And how extensive is that partnership right now? Is that pretty widespread, or is that kind of like with the pickup option? Is that a little bit?
450 shops right now in the US. Wow. We are the preferred partner for Aventon. We are the preferred partner for Turn, for example. And we are going to do a test, I think in March, with REI also in SoCal first. But yeah, we are rolling that tool in many bike shops. We have actually a team of let's say 8 territory leads who are a bit everywhere in the country, and they are first onboarding new shops every day, but also managing that network every day, engaging them. Sometimes we do even incentives. We can say, okay, like for the launch of the new Turn, if you bring your old Turn and buy that new Turn, we can give you $200 on top of the residual value of your bike, right? Or so these type of incentives. So yeah, it's a great tool, and it's also another way to get bikes from like they say individuals in the US. We definitely understand that if you want to use your, let's say, the value of your bike as store credits to buy a new bike at your favorite bike shop, why not? We're here to power pricing and let's say pick up.
Oh, cool. That's an awesome partnership. And then, so one last thing just on the selling of a bike then. So if you're not in an area where you can have the pickup option or maybe a bike shop partner nearby, if you are going to be shipping that back, how mechanically inclined would you say you have to be in order to do that? Are you taking apart a lot of the bike, or is it just fairly minimal?
Yeah, very good question. I should have mentioned that. It's quite easy. You just have to remove the front wheel and remove the handlebar, and then that's it. And then we'll give you the pieces of foam to protect your bike. It's like the size of the box is right at the limit of the, let's say, the FedEx requirements. So it's like a pretty big box. And yeah, just removing the handlebar, usually through the true axle. Removing the wheel, usually through the true axle. Removing the handlebar, protecting a little bit the handlebar with like corrugated cardboard. I think we give you also a piece of foam to protect the derailleur. And that's it. Simple as that. It's very easy. And the box, you get it, let's say, folded, and you just have to unfold it, but it's like super easy.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it doesn't sound too complicated at all. So are there any specific types of bikes that you are like looking to acquire right now? Is there like a certain style or certain like brand name or anything like that? Or is it just come whatever may, as long as it's from one of those kind of brands that meets the criteria?
I mean, it's a bit of everything. It depends a bit on the season, right? Like right now, we are really after mountain bikes. Usually in the first quarter of the year, we sell a lot of mountain bikes, so we're going to go after these bikes. While in the second quarter of the year, we'll go more for commuters and cargo bikes. But let's say that our model works very well with slightly more premium bikes, because these are the ones we can, I would say, resell at a very interesting price. These are the ones that are kind of prohibitive if you buy them like brand new. And these are also the ones that you have, let's say, expert riders. So they know, let's say, the residual value curve of their bike pretty well. So they understand our pricing. So yeah, mountain bike, cargo bikes, premium commuters, premium folding bikes, premium road bikes. But we are getting literally everything. But our model works very well with these bikes, but we're also getting, let's say, some electric, some Aventon, and these are bikes that are extremely popular, and we get them, right? But our model works very well with, let's say, high-end mountain bikes. These are the ones that we can source pretty well and then resell also pretty well.
Awesome. And then moving towards like a final note here, I kind of want to look a little bit at the future for Upway, because you guys have had a lot of positive momentum lately. I know you got a big round of funding last year or so and things like that. So, what are the future plans for growth for Upway here over the next few years in the United States and just as a company in general in the world?
Yeah. So globally, what we're going to do in the next 2 years is to launch 5 additional countries. So soon we're going to launch UK, and then you have Poland, Denmark, Sweden, and it means also like launching additional warehouses a bit everywhere in Europe, and also Canada. We just need to figure out when the situation will be stable on the tariffs front, because we'll probably ship from the US.
Yeah.
After
that will stabilize.
Yeah. After 2027, so beginning of 2028, we'll launch the rest of Europe. Plus, we'll try to launch some countries in the Asian market, so let's say APAC market. There, we would like to launch in Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea, and Australia. So that's for the, let's say, the expansion at the global level. In the US, what we want to do is to launch additional capacity. So you have 2 types of capacity for us. You have refurbishing capacity. So a warehouse like we have right now in New York or in LA that does everything from receiving the bikes to repairing the bikes and shipping the bikes. But also we might launch some, like, let's say, commercial warehouses where we don't do refurbishing, but we actually do, let's say, pickup, drop off. It can serve as a maintenance location, a showroom location, and that could be smaller warehouses in top tier cities, in big markets for us, so that it's easier for us to source. And also, let's be honest, we are online, and still a lot of people will be more comfortable to buy an expensive piece of equipment like an e-bike offline. So we try to break that barrier by having these like small locations where you could see our bikes, where we could ship bikes to this place, and then you could see or maybe try 3 bikes and then just select one, and the two that you haven't selected, like they stay in that location. So that's what we want to do. And then third, in the US overall, we want to double our business this year and also next year. It means hiring a lot of people. We have a team of 50 individuals right now. We want to grow that to 100 and then this year and then 150 next year. And then finally, yes, we have just launched our new product called Upway Flex. We want to grow our, let's say, subscription as a product in the US for individuals, but also for businesses. If you think about those big corporate campuses, especially in Texas or in California, all of them, they have bike programs for the employees. Or if you think about hotel chains for, let's say, the guests. They might be very interested by having some sort of a subscription program at a reduced price for their guests. So we want to push Upway Flex a lot in the next 2 years in the US. We think it's very suited for the market, especially a market that is still figuring out what type of like if they want to own an e-bike and what type of e-bike they want to own. So having the flexibility of Upway Flex or a subscription model makes total sense. And that's why it's the first country where we launch Upway Flex is the US.
Yeah, that extended kind of test drive, as it were, and figuring out. Okay, well, awesome. Makes sense. And then just anything else you're excited about, anything you want to share with our audience or that you think our listeners would love to know about Upway?
No, I think I mentioned pretty much everything. I mentioned also the tests that we are going to run with REI in South California. That's a pretty exciting one for us because it's a huge, I would say, legitimacy move. Like REI is such a great, let's say, retail or like department store, let's say.
On a way in the retail space, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're huge, and also their brand image is just amazing, just super in line with what we would like to achieve in the US. And they are the kings of trade-in, so like having us as the main trade-in partner for e-bikes, which is, I think, the only product you could not trade at REI is just great. So we are very excited about that. And there's definitely more to come, but this one is a huge one for us.
Okay, well, awesome. Thank you so much again, Max, for stopping by here and talking with us and sharing a little bit more about how people can, buy and sell online with e-bikes with Upway. So thanks again for your time, Max.
Thank you, Griffin.
It's time for everyone's favorite section where John and I try to save you money. That's right, we're talking deals of the week. Deals of the week. And we're going to lead things off with Aventon still having a really good sale on their last edition models, including up to $500 off of the Adventure 2. This is a powerful and versatile e-bike. It doesn't have the fancy ACU feature of the current generation, but if you don't really need all that and you just want something that rides really, really well, that is definitely one worth checking out. Mm-hmm. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you want to not look at the heavy-duty, go explore everywhere, rough terrain option, you just want something lightweight, a little bit easier to handle on the city streets, take a look at the Aventon Pace 500.3. Also several $100s off. This is their lightweight cruiser, just so easy to get around and such an enjoyable ride. One of their most popular ones as well for all sorts of different crowds, from the seniors to shorter riders, whoever. It's just a crowd pleaser for sure.
Yeah, these bikes and deals are not going to last forever. But jumping over to Evelo, their whole lineup is on sale, up to $700 off. So the Atlas, which is a touring e-bike, that one is $700 off. It's got a nice, powerful mid-drive motor, very comfortable ride, cruiser styling, and then just very easy pedaling with a 600-watt motor and 120 newton meters of torque. But then we have a sort of smaller, lighter weight cruiser called the Galaxy Lux as well. That's a fairly simplistic ride, but it's got some really cool high-end tech that does all the shifting for you. So you just kind of hop on and ride and you're good to go. That one is also $700 off.
All right, so next up, we're going to be talking about a Rider of the Week. Again, this is a show, but it's also kind of a little bit of a community that we're building here as a way of saying thank you. We like to pick an audience member, someone who commented something that we can highlight. This week, I'm kind of like going a little bit of a different direction than what we usually do. This person actually commented on last week's topic, which was revolving around New Jersey state laws that they were changing. Mm-hmm. I actually appreciated the comment they left, and well, I'll let John read it here, and we'll kind of dive into why we picked that one.
Yeah, there's a few things to break down here. So Truth Spoken is our Rider of the Week, and they said, the only issue I see with the New Jersey law is that Class 1 electric bicycles, 20 mile per hour max, no throttle, should be allowed on the greenways and should not require insurance. Anything else is an electric moped, so that's Class 2 and 3, or e-motorcycles, anything over 28 miles per hour, in my opinion. For context, I also own a Wired Freedom, so I am not against high-speed e-bikes. They just have no business being on multi-use pathways.
So part of the reason I picked this one is because I don't fully agree with everything that was said here, but I kind of just love the argument and the way it was presented. There's obviously been a lot of things going on in national news over the last week, and whatever side of the aisle you find yourself on, you've got an opinion about it more than likely. And we're not here to comment on any of that. That's not what we're here in this show is all about. But again, I just kind of like this because it was a well thought out way to express what he thought the New Jersey laws should be. I personally don't want to see Class 2 or 3 forced to have registration or licensing or anything like that, but I can at least respect the point of view he's providing here. And he just stated it in such a nice way. So again, we're always looking for a little bit more civil discourse, I suppose. And I thought this was a great example and good perspective from kind of either side of the aisle as someone who owns a Wired Freedom, a bike notoriously known for really high speeds and stuff like that. And he's even saying, hey, I could see the, potentially licensing, insuring, stuff like that. But yeah,
it's nice civil conversation, even with groups that disagree. And that's, kind of what we would like to encourage with our community here. But truth spoken, if you're listening, you win a t-shirt just like this one here. So you, along with anyone else who's been highlighted in this specific segment of the show, Rider of the Week, if you haven't received your t-shirt already, excuse me, hopefully that wasn't a swear word, then definitely do let us know using the Google form down in the video description so that we can, get you the right shirt size and get it to your right address. But if you want to be highlighted here, as always, leave a comment on any of our reviews down below, here on YouTube, on the website electricbikereport.com, or the email address questions@electricbikereport.com. As always, we really appreciate you guys sticking around. Hopefully you enjoyed the news stories this week and that cool interview that we had going on. As always, make sure you're subscribed so you can keep up on new content. You can check out the audio versions of this over on Spotify or Apple Music. But, we love the interaction that we get from you guys, so make sure to leave us your questions and comments.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll be seeing you next time on the Weekly Recharge.
Can't wait to find out who that is.
And New Hampshire, unfortunately, is the latest state from the tap. The latest something. All right. Yeah, Lasai says it all. And finally, we actually sit down and interview one of our new brand sponsors, Upway, and we're excited to tell you all about them. Dang it, why am I fumbling on this? I can feel the pressure. We sit down and interview a special guest from...
And Truth Spoken said, the only issue I see with the New Jersey law that we talked about a little bit.
Start this over. I need to better introduce that one, actually.
Okay.